All right. Thanks everybody for joining tonight. I want to open this up more to a community-esque live stream than the last one. So feel free to reach out in the live chat, ask questions, make comments, whatever you'd like. We're just going to sit around and hang out. I am going to talk a little bit about the giveaway that we're doing, and we're going to talk about the progress with that, what you're going to win, how you enter, and things like that. But if you joined last week's live stream, then you know all of these details, and you can find it in that. And then I will also be posting the links throughout the chat in there about the giveaway. So, like I said, we're not going to be worrying too much about that kind of stuff. But as you join, please hit that like button. Please join in on the live chat. This is an awesome opportunity for us. And so let's tell YouTube that there's something good going on in this live stream. But thanks again, everybody. I know it's starting to become a frequent conversation piece. Tonight, I am drinking the Heaven Hill Bottled in Bond. This is a good one that I got in Texas. We can't find it here in Ohio. So this is something that I kind of savor and have, on special occasions like tonight. So once again, thanks for joining. If you look at the top of the live chat, there is a link to enter the giveaway. If you weren't in the first live stream and you didn't see any of my social media posts about the giveaway, it ends tomorrow evening at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will draw the winner Saturday morning. Now, what will you win? One winner will win a huge package that totals over $2,000. That package consists of a Camp Chef Woodwind Pro 36, 2 ThermoWorks thermometers. It's a Thermapen one and the Smoke X4, 2 certified Piedmontese grass-fed, grass-finished Tomahawk ribeyes, which I actually have a video coming out on that tomorrow. I did a couple months ago. And then we are also giving away a 3-pack of the Bearded Butcher seasoning, and I'm going to give away an Anderson Smoke Show hat. So all in all, this is over a $2,000 prize package, and any one of you could win it. Just some simple rules. You have to be a subscriber, have to live in the lower 48 states of the United States of America, and you have to be 18 years of age or older. Now, there are other ways to enter, but those are the basic requirements, and all of the additional steps that you complete get you one additional ticket in the drawing. It is completely free. It is completely free, and all of these items will be shipped directly to your doorstep from the companies that are involved with this. Just to remind everyone that this is an Anderson Smoke Show giveaway, and I worked with some of the sponsors and companies that I deal with on a regular basis, and they were nice enough to join in and give me products essentially to use in this giveaway. So they're not responsible for picking a winner. They're not responsible for the rules or anything like that. That's all my doing. They just help provide some of the cool stuff that you can win. So for those of you that are in the chat, be sure to say something in there so that I know you're present. If you got any questions, we're here to talk. Doesn't matter. Backyard barbecue, holiday stuff, some upcoming cooks, got questions about upcoming videos or techniques, the giveaway. Now's the time to ask those questions. I see we've got about 30 people or so in here so far. We did just get started, so I'm assuming we'll probably get a few more in here shortly. I see Bobby's in here. If you see Bobby in the chat, her name highlights in green. Also, there is an icon next to her name that is depicting the fact that she is a channel member. Channel members themselves do get some special perks, including early release of the videos. So Bobby, I know, has already watched tomorrow's video because she commented on it a little bit ago. Also, with that, you get priority comments. From time to time, I get hundreds of comments a day, and sometimes they just, get mixed in there, and I don't get a chance to see every one of them. But I do filter every day, several times a day on channel member status, and I always answer those questions, and I make it a priority. Also, be sure to hit thumbs up while you're in here. I did see Kent from Daddy Dutch Barbecue just reminded everyone to hit that thumbs up. Make sure YouTube knows that there's good things going on in here. So talk a little bit about what I have coming up, and then as you guys have questions, feel free um, to reach out in the chat. I actually do see a question here. I know this sounds crazy, but would like recipes to finish in the oven for wintertime barbecue. Um, Daniel, are you talking about doing some on the smoker or the grill and then bringing it in to finish it up in the oven? Or are you talking about doing barbecue indoors? While Daniel replies in the chat. So I've got some cool things coming up here around the holidays, most likely just afterwards. Everyone has been asking for a while for a comparison between the Camp Chef Woodwind Pro, which is part of the giveaway, as well as the Masterbuilt Gravity Series 800. They've been asking for this comparison, and it's something that I have wanted to do for a while. But with the Thanksgiving, I had a bunch of turkeys to push out. I've got prime ribs. I had other things that are very timely with the holidays, so I will be doing that video soon. I have 2 racks of certified Piedmontese beef ribs. They are exactly the same weight. I'm going to season them the same, and I'm going to cook them the same way in the Camp Chef Woodwind Pro and the Masterbuilt Gravity Series 800. And we're going to see how they compare. I know that's something that everyone has been asking for, so that will be coming soon. I do actually plan on doing some indoor cooks, some indoor barbecue. I know my indoor ribs have been a very big hit for a lot of people. Now, some of you in the chat might be more into the outdoor barbecue, the smokers, but I live in Ohio where at any given time the weather can change and you could wake up tomorrow and have a foot of snow on the ground. So sometimes your plans change. In fact, my first oven ribs video that has like 750,000 views, which is my most viewed video right now on the channel, those ribs were supposed to be cooked outside, but we had a snowstorm over the course of like 2 days and had over a foot of snow, and it was really bad and really windy, and I don't have a covered outdoor space to film in, so I didn't want to freeze them, so we did an indoor oven ribs video, and it did great. So I do plan on doing some of those types of cooks this winter, but I usually kind of slow down a little bit towards the end of January and into February. I get kind of busy with some other things, and it also helps to save my good ideas for when barbecue's really booming. Let me hop in the chat here. So I see Scotty has a question about the cold weather smoking and how do the Camp Chef blankets work? Any tips? So Camp Chef makes an insulated blanket that has kind of like a fire retardant material to it. You're supposed to use them under 350 degrees. They are shaped exactly like the lid, the top and the back of the smoker, and they have magnets built into the backside of it, the part that actually touches the grill. And depending on what grill you have in particular, if it's got a chimney, there's a cutout to where the blanket goes over and around the chimney. If it's got the vents, then it avoids the vents. But essentially, that's just adding an extra layer of insulation to help keep the smoker from, getting exposed to those super cold temperatures. It does actually help. I have a blanket for my SG30, and I'm supposed to be getting one for my Woodwind Pro here really soon from Camp Chef. If you're listening, I need that blanket. I'm just teasing. But they do actually work. I know that not all companies provide a insulated blanket. I have seen people go to Harbor Freight and get a welding blanket or something along those lines. You need something that's fireproof or fire retardant, and you need something that's not going to cover up all your vents. So you basically just want to cover the parts like the lid, like the top, like the sides if you can, just not the chimney or any kind of air intakes. I see a couple Merry Christmases in the chat. Merry Christmas to you all. We are surprisingly just over a week away. It doesn't feel like that's true, but it's definitely the case. Let's see. Oh, Todd, where was all this good food during the old softball years? Yeah. I always wanted to have a year-end celebration at my house, and it just never happened. But maybe one of these days I'll get you and Bettio in there, maybe a couple of the other guys. Thanks for stopping by, Todd. Have you had any problems with the electronics on your Masterboat gravity fed? Scott, to be honest with you, I have not. I have not. I have had good luck with them. One thing to keep in mind is my grills don't get exposed to the elements. You know, I don't leave them outside because I'm filming a lot of times. I don't cook when it's raining or the weather's really bad. And that probably helps me and helps the longevity or the life of these grills. I've got the 560, which I put through hell. I've got the 800, which I've done a bunch of cooks on this year. And honestly, I haven't had many problems with it at all. Um, yeah, it's ran pretty well. I'm assuming, Scott, that you might have had some problems. And Scotty, yes, in South Dakota, I'm assuming you probably would need one of those grill blankets. The SG30, the one that they make for that works really great. It fits good. It stays on there nice and secure. Just remember, if you do get one, you're not supposed to use them above 350 degrees. They have it written on there. It's written on the package. It's for safety reasons. So, don't push it. I see Aaron Brown is asking if I have a RecTech smoker. I don't. But that new bullseye is that they say can get up to 1,000 degrees. That's something that I actually want to get my hands on, just because I want to see how well it works. I know that any grill that gets that hot has a potential for grease fires, and I'm really curious how they're doing that grease management and seeing how well that works, as well as what they're doing to achieve those kind of temperatures. But my old boss had a RecTech, the one they call the Bull, and he loved that thing. And everything I've ever heard about it is that it works really well. But I would like to see one of them and actually get a chance to cook on one of these days. Let me see here. Where would you get a replacement drip tray for the SG24? I would likely go straight to Camp Chef, but I do know that there are some aftermarket ones out there. I don't know if it's Smoke Daddy that makes them. For some reason, I don't think that's true. If you are not using the sliding grill technology, which is that cover that's above the burn chamber on the Camp Chef pellet grills, by pulling that out, it allows you to kind of flame sear your food or get a little bit hotter temperatures in that area. If you're not using that, then I would look into getting the completely smooth one, drip tray like they have in the Woodwind Pro, for the simplicity of just keeping it clean. It is so much easier to keep that thing clean with a nice flat surface than that louver drip tray, because I had to use a putty knife and get all around and scrape all of that grease and burnt food off of that. And it was just difficult. And then you had to keep all of those little louvers open to allow the airflow. I like the smooth one much, much better. Harold Kaufman, what are you sipping on tonight? Well, I've got myself a little pour of Heaven Hill Bottled in Bond. This is a good one if you can find it in your location. I know it's very difficult to find around here. Let's see. Damon Keel. Damon is actually part of the Camp Chef Grill Owners Facebook forum. Great place to go as a resource for not only recipes, but anything Camp Chef. And he is saying that Camp Chef, Smoke Daddy, Amazon, lots of places to find the different drip trays. I would suggest checking those out. Also, check out that Facebook community, Camp Chef Grill Owners. A lot of good people in there, a lot of helpful people. And it's kind of a direct but yet indirect line into Camp Chef. A lot of us in there have contacts at Camp Chef, and we can get answers really quickly. And there are Camp Chef representatives in that group as well. So definitely something to check out. Let's see. Jeff, awesome channel. Love learning from your cooks. Well, I appreciate that. Thanks for joining in tonight, and thanks for being a supporter of the channel. So as the questions keep coming in, I do want to let everyone know at the top of the chat is the link to enter the giveaway. I'm not going to go through all the details again, but it's over $2,000 worth of prizes. You pay nothing. It gets shipped to your house. You just have to follow very simple things. It's all listed in that giveaway. Just click the link there. But I do want to thank all of the companies that I worked with to make this possible: Camp Chef, ThermoWorks, Certified Piedmontese, and Bearded Butchers. Thanks again for that. Check out all of their stuff. I know that some of them are running some sales right now. I will put a few links in the chat here just for everyone to see. And I'm just doing this while I'm waiting for some more comments to come in. And also, everyone who is in here tonight, be sure to hit the like button. Let YouTube know that there are some cool things going on in here tonight. Of course, this I copy and pasted, and it's too long for the chat. See if that works. So Steven is asking, what do I think of smoke tubes and do they work? So this is kind of a loaded question because yes, they do work, but only to a certain extent. Pellet grills in general are known to be on the mild side when it comes to smoke. That's why people are leaning towards a Masterbuilt Gravity series when they're looking for more smoke. That's why people are looking at the new Camp Chef Woodwind Pro because it has that smoke box. And truthfully, that's why people have always gone with offsets or other types of traditional smokers where you're managing a live fire, because they are looking for more of that smoke profile. So depending on what your taste is and what you're looking for, the tubes do work. Depends what you're doing. If you're trying to cold smoke some cheese, I know that if you throw, 2 or 3 of those smoke tubes in your grill, don't turn the grill on and just let those smoke tubes roll. Especially in the winter, I know that people do that to cold smoke. They do work. I have a friend who has a couple of the smoke tubes in his Weber gas grill, and he gets a little bit of smoke to it. It's definitely better than just cooking on gas. But at the same time, it's still a pellet. You're still only able to achieve so much. It doesn't matter how much of it we actually put in there. And that's kind of what the specialty of the Camp Chef Woodwind Pro is. By adding that smoke box, you are getting more of that hardwood smoke or that charcoal smoke by adding that. Yeah, let me see here. Scotty, by the way, thank you for your spatchcock turkey and your 321 ribs video recipes. Perfect. Big hit here. They're a big hit here as well. We've been a big fan of those. I spatchcock most poultry that we get. It just makes it a lot easier. And I think it makes for an easier cook and better results in many cases. Not always, but in many cases it does. So I see Steven has a question. So do you use the ThermoWorks smoke versus the built-in Wi-Fi meat probe? So in the grills past, so my older Camp Chefs, my Masterbuilt Gravity series, my Char Griller, the probes that came with them, they worked all right. I'm not going to say that they didn't. I do like what ThermoWorks has and what they provide in the signals. I do have the smoke. I have the 2-channel one. That one works great. It's very simple. The signals itself connects to Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and you can actually chart out your cooks. You can see when the lid opens. You can see a lot of that data. You can see rolling averages as well. I like to use that. I'm also an engineer, so like data itself kind of intrigues me. So having all of that in front of me is good. I can set a bunch of different alarms, which is good. But with the new Camp Chef Woodwind Pro, they added the new probes, and I will say that they work quite a bit better than the old ones. I'm not saying that the old ones didn't work well, but with those meat probes that are included in the grill, and even with the signals, I only trust them to a certain point. I'm not getting final temp reads with those. That's what my instant read's for. And I suggest anyone that is using any kind of probe system, if it's not an instant read, you shouldn't be using it for final temp readings. Get yourself an instant read. Get a ThermoWorks. The ThermoWorks Pop is pretty cheap. And even some of the other ThermoWorks thermometers are definitely worth the investment. And if you don't have, the extra cash for A ThermoWorks, there are some cheaper options on Amazon. You know, it's something to look into. If you're not using an instant read, it'll definitely change the way that you cook. Let me see here. So I see Anthony just used a smoke tube for cheese this last weekend, waiting 2 weeks before I try it out. Yeah, that's one of the when it comes to cold smoking cheese, that's one of the most difficult parts is you're not supposed to eat it right away. Um, you can wrap it in butcher paper, let it breathe a little bit, and then vacuum seal it. That's what I do, and it's kind of hard. You open the fridge every day and you look and you see this beautiful cheese in there, and all you want to do is see how well you did. But it's definitely best to wait. I see the cybers. I put wood chips mixed with pellets in my smoke tube. You know, the wood chips themselves are probably going to give you a little bit more of a traditional feel when it comes to smoke. I still don't think it's quite the same, but it's definitely getting there. I know people have a lot of success from using those. Aaron Brown, Char Griller 980 has the best smoke. You know, when I had the Char Griller, I enjoyed cooking on it. I found it to be very similar to the Masterbuilt Gravity series. They both work the same way. They run on the same fuel. It makes great food. You can't beat the simplicity of running those and the amount of flavor that you get from that charcoal and the hardwood that you mix in. I would never steer anyone away from one of the Gravity series. You know, if you're really truly looking for that more robust smoke, you know, that is the way to go. Bobby is asking, do you test your thermometers for accuracy? If so, how? So, traditionally in science, one of the most common ways of testing a temperature probe is with an ice bath. We know what ice water should be, and basically get yourself a glass of ice water, let it get nice and cold, and stick your probe down in there. If your readings aren't right around freezing, they're just above freezing, then there's something wrong with your probe. Um, I know that you can do it kind of with boiling water as well. That gets a little dangerous, and and you have to keep it there. It's best to do the ice bath, in my opinion. How about meter? So, Aaron, I actually do have a meter. It has not been used yet. It's something that I want to try out, and I'll let people know, you know, what I think about it. Guga, when he sent his launch package for his all-purpose rub. Speaking of which, if you're looking for a good rub, the Guga all-purpose rub is pretty legit. When he sent his launch package with that, it came with 2 bottles or shakers of his new rub and a meter thermometer, a meter, I think meter plus or meter pro plus, whatever they call that. Um, I hear they're great. I know a lot of people that use them. Some of the guys that I work with use them, and they swear by them. You know, ThermoWorks has always treated me well, and to be honest with you, the Thermapen is probably one of the best instant read thermometers out there because of its accuracy, simplicity. There's no buttons, nothing to deal with, and that's one of the best things about it. Um, and, you know, meter is also a probe system. It's not an instant read. So, at least to my knowledge, it's not. So, if I'm wrong, please correct me. And instant reads are always best for that final temp reading. Let me see. My wife is wanting a prime rib for Christmas. Have you ever done a smoke or a show smoking one? Dennis, actually, I have a video right now that's doing pretty well. I just did a certified Piedmontese prime rib roast a couple weeks ago. I actually am doing another one this weekend, and that's going to be released real quick. I'm going to be doing a crusted prime rib on the smoker. I'm not going to give out too many details in case I decide to change them, but I am going to do a crusted one on the smoker. The last one that I did, I smoked and seared, turned out great. Check out that video on the channel. I just released it, I think 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I see Andrew Connolly. He's talking about it right now. Hmm. I want to compliment the prime rib with some seafood. Any suggestions? Um, To be honest with you, I love scallops, and they're very easy to make, as long as you've done it before, or if you haven't, do a little bit of research. They're easy to make. There's not a lot of prep for them. There's not a lot of cleanup. There's, of the seafood that you can do, it's probably the easiest. And I'm assuming that your focus is going to be on the prime rib, and you want to give as much attention to that as possible. So I think scallops is probably one of your safest bet. Shrimp would be up there as well. I mean, shrimp and steak pair well together, so I don't see why shrimp and prime rib wouldn't. It's basically steak. Um, but I'd say either or. I mean, if you want to get real fancy, you could do lobster, but that is going to be more prep and more work. Not by too much, but definitely a little bit more involved. I see a comment in here from the Cybers. I saw the official Char Griller account comment on the channel that they're working on a V2 of the 980. So, one thing that I will say about that is that in many cases, you might not even notice that there is a V2. They might not market it as an upgraded. They just might make subtle changes to the build. There may be some parts that don't last, or they need to modify because it, wasn't exactly what they expected it to be. You might see modified assembly instructions or packaging, and in a lot of cases, you won't know because they're not going to rebrand it. Sometimes they do, but in many cases, it's going to be kind of done under the radar. Making those subtle corrections. So I'm assuming since the CharGriller Gravity 980 is approaching 2 years of age now, if they haven't already made some of those subtle changes, I'm assuming that they probably will coming this spring. I don't know specifically, um, but I would make that assumption that they are. I see Tom has a question. He's having rusting issues on my Camp Chef. I have only had for a year. The lid, the base inside is rusting. Does Camp Chef replace this issue? So, Tom, I can't speak for them specifically. I know that their customer service is top notch. And I know from following the Camp Chef Grill Owners community on Facebook, I see a lot of questions about warranty, a lot of comments where people talk about their experience with warranty replacement. I would say the best thing for you to do is give them a call. Give them a call, tell them what your experience has been, tell them what issues you've had, and I'm sure they'll do what they can to make it right. There are situations where user error, can cause damage to products. Doesn't necessarily have to be a grill. If you back your car into a tree, it's not the manufacturer's fault. They're not going to fix the bumper for you without you paying for it. So kind of keep that in mind in general. But I would reach out to them. Their support is top notch, and you'll probably have a good experience with them. Let's see. Rob from Crosscut Creations. Hey, you just mentioned searing. What are your thoughts on searing versus reverse searing, pros and cons of each? So, Rob, when it comes to searing, it kind of really depends on what I'm doing. So, if you saw my recent prime rib video, because of the way it was seasoned, because I injected it, I wanted to let it cook for a while before I even moved it around. So, that prime rib that I did, I was going to do a reverse sear. There was no doubt in my mind that it was going to be seared at the end. Um, the reason why at times we'll do the opposite and sear it first is if you're doing something that's delicate, if you're doing, for example, like filet mignon, or you're doing a tenderloin roast or something of that nature, something expensive, something delicate, it's easier to sear it first and get the crust that you want, and then put it into your smoker or oven or however you're cooking it at that lower temperature and slowly allow, the center to come up. It helps prevent you from overcooking it. And that's really the biggest challenge with searing is when do you pull it? How much heat do you apply? How long do you put it in that high heat? Um, for example, a couple years ago, it was super cold out on Christmas, like in the single digits, and it was really windy. So my smokers were just having a hard time getting up above 400 degrees. It was taking forever. So when I pulled the prime ribs off, I was cooking multiple prime ribs for family members on Christmas. So I pulled them off and I brought them in to the house and I put them under the broiler in my oven. And the broiler gets really freaking hot. So you have to think about, just like when you go out to the beach and you get exposed to sun, that direct sun, might not show on the surface like the effect that it's having, but it's going to penetrate a lot more. So when you put it under the broiler after you're already at 120 degrees, the carryover temperature that you could get if you're not careful will push it beyond your desired temperature. It's very easy to do in those circumstances. That's why, on the pellet grills and whatnot, I usually only go to like 400 degrees for 400 or so. That kind of slows down the carryover temperature, but at the same time, you still have to be careful. By searing it first, you've already achieved that crust, you've already achieved that sear. So then you can just bring the meat up slowly, and then you can pull it just a few degrees before your desired temperature. And because it was low and slow getting to that point, you're not going to get that large carryover like you would if you were searing it at the end. Hope that answers your question. I see Scott is saying that my instant read shows the correct room temp. I just check it against my thermostat. Works great. To be honest with you, with my ThermoWorks, many times I open the drawer because the Thermapen one is motion activated. As soon as I open the drawer, it turns on and it's usually reading right around room temp. But scientifically, ice bath is the way that we recommend it. I work in the industrial controls industry, so when I was doing stuff in the control side with thermocouples and thermocouple modules, we would recommend an ice bath to calibrate. So it's also the easiest in industries to get a cup of ice and water. Speaking of ice and not water, but fire water, I need to get a sip here. See, Fred had lobster on the 560. It was amazing. I'm going to be honest with you. Lobster is something that I've wanted to do for a while, and I completely forget. Every time I think about it, I think about something else, get distracted, and I have not made it. But it is something that I want to do. So, what other questions do you guys have? What are you cooking for Christmas? Are you guys cooking? Are you going to family? Are you going to do a ham? Are you doing a turkey, prime rib? What do you guys have going on? Let's talk about it. Isaac said, "Love your advice, man. I'm still fairly new to the pellet grills and smoking, and your videos have helped me make multiple meals that the family loves." Well, I appreciate the support, and I also appreciate the comment. I've never once claimed to be a pitmaster of any kind. I would never say that. I'm not a chef of any kind. I just like to cook. I like to serve people, and I like to eat. As you can see, I like to eat. Um, and so if there's something that I can share from my experience through videos or through these kind of conversations that'll help you, that's what I'm here to do. So at any time you guys have questions, feel free to reach out. The best way is through channel memberships, through Instagram direct messages or Facebook Messenger. Comments on videos sometimes just get mixed in with the sauce, and it's hard to find them. I know it happens, and sometimes I'm answering those questions weeks later. If you want something more, then it's a lot easier to go those other methods. 10:32. You guys waste so much time on and effort on ribs. Just put them in an instant pot for 30 minutes. I, you know, I have to kind of disagree with that. There is so much that you're missing out on a good set of a good rack of smoked ribs. I will say my oven ribs turn out great. I would say if you're going to do anything similar, try and mimic any kind of real barbecue inside. My oven ribs are kind of tried and true. They turn out great, but they are always going to be missing that smoke, that barbecue flavor. Yeah, I just don't think you can achieve that indoors. Also, liquid smoke, I don't use it. One time I tasted it on a teaspoon, and it tasted like what I would assume rainwater in an ashtray would taste like. I'd never recommend tasting that. And ever since then, I just don't have a palate for it, so I don't use it. Don't ask. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Check the temperature of that cocktail. My thermometer's downstairs, and or else I would. I don't want to. I don't want to walk away. I'm upstairs in my office right now. Let's see. So Isaac, it sounds like you smoke a fried a turkey. That's actually something that I've always wanted to do. Um, he smoked it partially and then pulled it out and deep fried it to finish. And I've heard that that turns out great. Um, uh, and it's something I've always wanted to try. I just don't have a turkey fryer. I watched my grandmother's neighbor's house burn down because of one. Like I physically was there and saw the whole house burn down. And I just never wanted to really put one of those at my house. I know there's safe ways to do it, but I'm sure that guy thought he was being safe too and burned his house down. 1032. I'm glad you were kidding. If all you have in your house is an instant pot and that's the only way you're going to get ribs without paying, $30 or $40 a rack at a restaurant, you know what? Have at it. But if you have the chance of using the grill or smoker, I definitely would. Glad you were kidding there. Let's see. Dylan, he's doing a prime rib on New Year's Eve. There you go. What are you going to be cooking that on? You going to be smoking it? Going to be doing it inside? What kind of smoker you got? Let us know some of the details. Anthony is going to be doing a prime rib on the Masterbuilt 560. Haven't done one on the grill yet. When you smoke a prime rib, there's just this extra level. It's like the fourth dimension to great beef, and it makes you'll never want it any other way. I can guarantee you that. My suggestion with using, the Masterbuilt 560 or honestly any of these kind of bigger box store smokers, I typically put it on like the middle shelf so that it's not directly above the heat source because the last thing that I want to do is do any damage to the bottom of that or cook it any faster than I need to, especially on the bottom. Don't want to get it all charred up. Even on my Camp Chef, which I haven't had a lot of issues with super high temperatures, I still have the habit of putting things like that on that upper shelf. Perfect for it. It keeps it away from the heat and really just allows the smoke to roll around it. That would be my suggestion for that. Woodsy did a smoked turkey and a beer butt chicken for Thanksgiving. My brother-in-law does Christmas. That works out well. Nice trade-off, so you don't have to do both. Beer can chicken is one of my favorites. We've been making it in my family for 25 years, probably. It's great. If you don't know my secret tip to beer can chicken, um, it is to take an onion or a potato and cut it into the shape of like a plug or a wedge and pound it down into the neck hole of the chicken. That helps lock in that moisture. And trust me, people say all the time beer can chicken does nothing, that the beer never gets hot enough to steam or whatever. Well, I don't know. I haven't tested it scientifically, but it's kind of hard to deny how juicy those chickens turn out. So that's also my story, and I'm sticking to it. But if you're doing beer can chicken, plug that neck hole with something. Potato or onion works best, and you will see noticeable difference in the results. Andrew is doing a Christmas ham, New Year's prime rib, and some scallops per your recommendation. What is your favorite football munchie slash appetizers, and is there a video? Well, I'm a big fan of finger food, and I'm a big fan of dips. So I'm a sucker for anything like that. I did a street corn dip probably 2 months ago, maybe 2, 3 months ago on the channel. And that was a huge hit. I took it to a housewarming party. And I'm not even joking, an entire 9x13 pan of this dip was gone in probably 15 minutes. It was probably the craziest thing that I'd ever seen. It was incredibly delicious, super easy to make, really takes no effort to do it. I do like smoked queso, that's good, but I think that street corn dip is one of my favorites. Um, Another thing that I like is the smoked cream cheese. I have a video of it. I did it last football season. I actually did it for the Browns home opener, to be honest with you. Um, I do 2 different smoked cream cheeses, and they have been the hit at like those kind of tailgate parties or football parties. where every time my group of friends has a party, they're always asking for it. I do one where I do like a smoked candied jalapeno and bacon, and I do that on top of a smoked cream cheese, and it turns out incredible. I smoke the peppers until they're soft. I smoke the bacon until they're just about crispy. I take that stuff inside, I cut it up nice and pretty fine, and I put it in a pan, and I just kind of glaze it with some brown sugar to give a little hint of sweet, nothing too crazy. And then I top that on the cream cheese that I've been smoking in the smoker, and it turns out incredible. And then my other one is a dessert cream cheese. It's a s'mores cream cheese. I smoke a block of cream cheese, season it up with whatever seasoning you want, and then just before it's done, I'll lay an entire Hershey chocolate bar on it, close the lid, it'll start to get soft, and I'll take marshmallow fluff and I'll coat the top of that with a nice thick layer, and I'll take my torch and toast it. And that with some graham crackers is to die for. It's so easy and it's so good. Definitely would suggest trying those as well. Let's see. Bobby, other channels reference your corn dip. I know. I just saw Gorilla Joe posted his video a couple days ago and tagged me in it. He made a couple slight modifications, and I mean that's what cooking's about. You know, use what you've got, use what you like. But that street corn dip is so good, and it's so easy. It's like a mindless cook. You don't even really have to worry about it. Wolf Tracks Barbecue, welcome in. It's never too late to join the party. Cheers. Thanks for joining. Mark, I really need a Masterbuilt Gravity or that Camp Chef. I think that's a winky face. Trying to win the new Camp Chef Woodwind Pro. And I think all of you should enter if you haven't already. And just a quick reference, at the top of the chat, there is a link. I pinned it. That is how you enter the giveaway. I'm giving away $2,000 worth of stuff. All thanks to the companies that I work very closely with here on the channel. And one of the things and the biggest prize is the Camp Chef Woodwind Pro 36. Let me see here. Scrolling through some comments. Wolf Tracks Barbecue. I did beer can chicken the way you showed us, and it was the best chicken I've ever made or eaten. I'll never do chicken any other way again. Proof's in the pudding. I mean, there you go. Beer can chicken's incredible. I was in, funny story, when I was in Utah in September with Camp Chef for the pre-launch party for the Woodwind Pro, there was someone there who is very well known in the barbecue community, and I don't know, it's nobody that I've ever referenced on the channel, so don't try and make associations you're not going to guess. It's no one I've ever referenced on the channel before. But I was making beer can chicken. That was one of the things that I did there. We kind of did a potluck and everybody was cooking things. And I was told that beer can chicken is just kind of like a myth. It doesn't actually do anything, that the beer itself never gets warm enough to actually steam because it's in this cold jacket of a chicken carcass, and it's just not allowing enough heat to get the beer hot enough to steam. And, you know, scientifically, according to this individual, it had been proven that it doesn't get hot enough to steam. Well, one thing that I like to do is set the beer in the smoker before I put it into the chicken. So the beer is already hot and in many cases already boiling before it gets in. It probably cools down, but by plugging the neck, I don't know what it is. If it's just the fact that we're plugging, you know, the rear end and we're plugging the neck and it's just locking in the moisture. Maybe it has nothing to do with the beer. Maybe an empty can would do the same thing. I don't know. But just like Wolf Tracks is saying, it's some of the best chicken you're going to have. It's kind of hard to deny the results. It's so juicy. It's so tender. Maybe one of these days I'll test it and see if I can figure out what's going on. But for now, I'm going to keep doing it the way I do it and enjoy it. Let's see here. Scott, I may smoke the pork butt on the 560, but my best one I did was on my Weber kettle, so haven't decided. You know, long smokes on a Weber kettle takes some practice. I applaud you for that. The 560 is just going to simplify things. It's going to be a little bit more of a set it and forget it. And I think you're going to get very similar results. You know, you're running the same fuel source, you're running likely around the same temperatures. So you because a kettle, you're going to get a little bit different smoke profile on it than you will with the Gravity series, but I'm sure you'll love it either way. Let's see. John, Southern Exposure. I'm in South Louisiana and we're about to get really cold weather next week. So I'm going to do a video making a seafood gumbo on New Year's Eve and give the pit boss a break. I don't blame you. I don't know what really cold weather means. Uh, I live in Ohio, so we get some really cold weather here as well. Uh, so, I'm out there as long as it's not raining or real windy. But I don't blame you for doing indoor stuff. I actually plan on doing some indoor things myself this winter. I have a couple really good soup recipes that I've been making for years that I want to share. Um, I've got a wedding soup that my wife begs me to make every year. And that's something that I'll probably make here after the holidays. I'm not going to call it Italian wedding soup because that's just opening a can of worms I don't want to get into. But we'll call it wedding soup, and it's great. And I got a couple other things that I'll be making as well, kind of on the indoor side. I see Fred, a good finger food, water chestnuts wrapped in bacon and dipped in barbecue sauce. Yeah, so I don't know if you saw that video, Fred, but I actually smoked some. I did the same thing, but I smoked them and I used some of the Japanese barbecue sauce with them. Turned out great. Super simple, super easy. Um, you know, I would say barbecue sauce is probably a little bit better choice than the Japanese barbecue sauce that I use, only because the thickness of barbecue sauce it'll stick around a little bit better. The Japanese barbecue sauce tends to be a little thinner, and it just doesn't adhere to the surface and glaze up as well. But definitely good stuff. Let's see. Dylan saying dip smoked buffalo chicken dip and smoked artichoke dip are always a win. I have not smoked either one of those dips. Something that I'll have to try though. I don't see why it wouldn't be delicious. Let's see. Case, I did a pork shoulder watching your video a few months ago. Turned out really good using my Camp Chef pellet grill. Probably going to smoke another one on Christmas Eve. Yeah, good, good. Glad it turned out good. Pork shoulder's super easy. It's honestly pretty cheap, and you get a ton of food out of it. It's kind of hard to really screw that up too. As long as you get it close, you can always add a little bit more moisture. You can always add a little bit of flavor with a little additional rub once you shred it, or use a little bit of sauce when you make sandwiches with it or whatever you're doing. So pork shoulder is a real easy one too, especially cooking for a crowd. Let's see. If you could only cook and smoke using one type of fuel source and cooker, what type would you pick? Ooh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one for the sense that MJ asked that question in the chat. Um, that's a tough one because I have to think about what all I would want to cook. And there are so many times that I just fire up the grill and crank it up hot and I make some steaks or chicken thighs or something like that. So honestly, if you really want my honest opinion, one cooker, one fuel source, and it has to be able to do everything, I would say I'd probably get a kettle. Uh, I love my pellet grills. I love my smokers. Um, but the simplest thing that can do everything is a kettle. That's the honest truth. There's a learning curve with it. Try managing a fire on a kettle, and getting a good amount of smoke if you're trying to do something a little bit low and slow, using some indirect heat, or try managing a fire without it getting too hot, and overcooking or burning your food. It definitely is a learning curve, but I mean, I would say a kettle is um, probably one of the best options. If you're saying one fuel source, one type of cooker, probably the kettle. I see Mark also he can attest to long cooks being on a kettle. Very versatile. Yeah. Let's see. Go Buckeyes. Yeah. Yeah. It looks like there's some Ohio fans in here tonight. I saw that a little bit earlier. Um, Scrolling back through the chat, I missed a couple questions or comments earlier. Dottie said she bought 2 green eggs for Christmas. I didn't know you had me in the gift exchange, but thank you. I don't have one of those ceramic cookers. It's something that I should get just to say that I've got everything, every style. Yes, Bobby, and everyone in here, hit the like button. Let YouTube know that there's something awesome going on in here tonight. We are talking barbecue. We're talking my giveaway. The link is at the top of the chat. Hit that $2,000 worth of prizes. Free to enter, ship right to your door if you win. We're here to talk barbecue, talk about some holiday stuff, talk about bourbon, talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Wolf Tracks Barbecue. I did some smoked stuffed bell peppers and turned out really amazing several weeks back. I think I even DM'd you about it, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, I think you did. I do recall seeing those. That's also something that I've wanted to do and just haven't done it. I will say that if enough of you ask me to do something, I definitely will do it. I do a lot of research to go kind of on behind the scenes of how I choose to my topics and cooks. Sometimes I do a real good job of it. Sometimes it's a swing and a miss, but it's very difficult to grow on on YouTube specifically if you're not doing topics that people are looking for. I learned that the hard way when I first started. I thought the opposite, that if I do things that nobody's doing, then people will have to come see me. Well, the difference is if they don't have interest in the things that nobody else is doing, then why would they even come looking for my content in the first place? So you'll see on my channel, that's why I do 3 turkeys a year. You'll see I have another prime rib coming out in the next few days. That's because I want to make sure that I reach as many people. I provide as many different methods, different profiles, different grills as I possibly can, because what I'm doing, it also has to be marketable for it to be successful. So when I first started that first winter, so like 2-3 months in, I thought, I'm gonna smoke some cutout Christmas cookies. I'm gonna make the dough. I'm gonna make the icing. I'm gonna smoke them in my Pit Boss vertical, and they turned out great. I'm gonna be honest with you. There was a tiny hint of smokiness to it. It kind of gave it kind of a nutty flavor, maybe a little bit. Um, it turned out great, but I think I honestly removed it from the channel because after several years, it still only had like 200 views total. And the reason why is nobody searches it. But if enough people ask for something, it's something I could do. I'll definitely do it. I know I've gotten a lot of requests for over the top chili, and really that's something that I should have done like a couple months ago, but I went on vacation to the Dominican Republic, and then I came back and it was turkey, turkey, turkey. So I kind of had to focus on the seasonal things because this part of the time of the year is all about those specific things: turkey, prime rib, ham, beef tenderloin, all those big family meals. And that's kind of where I had to focus. But I will be doing an over the top chili. That is something that is on my list to do. That'll be after the holidays, though. Let me hop up in the chat here. I seem to introduce a backburn issue if I use a water pan in combination with knotty wood pellets on my Rectech 590. Encountered this 2 times. No issues with no water pan. Any thoughts? So I guess one of my questions would be is how often are you cleaning your Rectech? Is it a coincidence that it was dirty, that there were leftover pellets? That's Andrew Connolly asking this question. I don't see why adding a water pan would cause that. There might be some other factor that you're not thinking about that could affect that. I would say try it again. Maybe don't put the most expensive cut of meat in there in case you have to shut the grill off. Try it again, but make sure it's on a fresh, clean start. Everything's cleaned out, swept out. I don't know the Rectech 590 well enough to know how they remove the leftover pellets and ash, but do a good little clean out and see if it has a difference, because I have a feeling that part of the problem could be uh, it not being clean. I could be wrong. Cleaned each time. Hmm. I don't. I that's surprising, but it's only ever done it. What about other pellets? I don't see why the pellets would make that much of a difference unless they burn. I don't see that being why that would be an issue. Hit me up on Instagram or Facebook. We can talk more about that. I'd have to do some research because that it just doesn't seem to make it doesn't line up to me. Let's see. So Isaac, one of my family's favorites is smoked pulled pork. I don't sauce it because the next day I make leftovers into pulled pork tacos. So that's actually a good point about saucing it. I rarely ever sauce my food. Like, okay, I rarely ever sauce my pork shoulder up front. What I do is usually allow everyone to pick kind of the sauce that they like, kind of like if you went to a barbecue joint. And part of the reason is for leftovers, because I can do so many things with it for leftovers. But once you put barbecue sauce on it, you just narrow that field down. Now you can only do so much. Leave the sauce off, allow people to put it on their sandwich, on their plate, whatever they want to do. And then you have that good smoked pork left over. And then you're not also affecting what other people's preferences are. I see Justin is saying Weber Smoky Mountain is my all in one. I've had others come and go, but it's something I'll keep. A Weber Smoky Mountain, I've always suggested if someone is looking to really get into smoking and they don't want to go the pellet or the technological route, that the Weber Smoky Mountain is the best to go to. They're inexpensive, fairly inexpensive, and they're a great option. I mean, people use them in competition still to these days, even with all the options that are out there. And consistently, they put out great results. I don't know. I've never ran one as a grill. So if I was just grilling some chicken thighs or, some steaks at just a high temperature, I don't know how well they work for that. Never tried it because that's really was never my intent when using them. Um, but yeah, yeah, Weber Smoky Mountain's a great smoker. Um, I see we need to see some more cooks on that offset. Mark, yeah, I need to do some offset cooks. I To be honest with you, have been really toying around with the idea of getting a much bigger one. The thing that has held me back, I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of sold. I shouldn't even say it. I'm kind of sold on a cotton gin 500 gallon. They make some beautiful smokers. I follow them on Instagram, and every time a picture or video comes up of their CGS 500, I am hitting the like button. I'm commenting. We've even DM'd back and forth a few times. The only thing that is holding me back is that the house that my wife and I live in right now is not our forever home. We have a nice home. We're happy here, but it's not our forever home, and I am at about max capacity on toys when it comes to that kind of stuff. And if I spent that kind of money on a smoker, I would never want to leave that thing outside when it's not in use. I have to have somewhere to store it, and it's something that I don't have storage capacity for, and right now, and that's really truly the only reason why I don't have it. Um, for those of you that don't know, I have a 1970 Monte Carlo Super Sport with a 454 that is in great shape. We take it to car shows, almost every week during the summer. And so that thing takes up a lot of space in my garage, as well as you can imagine. That is a massive car, and I can't have anything right on top of it or right next to it. I have to leave space to walk through with the dogs when we go outside, and then I have to have room for all of this stuff that you guys see on the channel. So taking on a big offset like that is a dream. I can't pull the trigger yet until I know I've got a better space to put it. Um, Let's see here. Have you considered making barbecue or making videos to do homemade barbecue sauce? So I actually have probably 5 different barbecue sauce recipes that I have used. A couple of them have made it on the channel in terms of the recipe, but I went back and cleaned up some of my older videos, so I would honestly have to see, and I'm pulling up my phone right now to see if I even have them on here anymore. Um, I did wings one year for Christmas Eve, and I made uh it was a Crown and Coke barbecue sauce. I'm looking to see. I must have made the video private. It's not on here anymore. It's not showing up on my channel. Um, that Crown and Coke barbecue sauce was great. I loved that. I did a couple others. I have a couple other recipes that I want to bottle. I just haven't gotten to the point yet where I'm ready to do that. I want to make sure that I have um enough people interested before I physically try to sell that kind of stuff. I'm not a person to hide my recipes. I try to keep my videos interesting, and I don't know how many people would try and make this sauce, so I usually leave those kind of background things out and try and focus just on the intent or the focus of that video. But if people want me to share some of my recipes, I definitely will. I definitely will. Mark, Cotton Gin is from Michigan. They're from Southwest Michigan. They make some cool smokers. And Wolf Tracks, I hear a bunch of people talking about Mill Scale as well. They're out of Texas. One of the things that entices me about Cotton Gin is that they're, I don't want to say local, but they're a lot more local to me in Ohio, in Michigan, than Texas is local to me. Um, in many cases, you're going to pay a ton of money shipping it, or you're going to have to drive down there and trailer it back. But I've heard they make great smokers too. There's a company out of Louisiana. I don't know if John's still in here. He might be more familiar with them, but they're called Boathouse Smokers. They make kind of a different style smoker. So they make like cabinet offset smokers, and they do the whole big thing where they're on the golf cart wheels and they got the big pull handle with the axles where you can like steer the thing. They make some really cool smokers as well, and that's something that I've always looked at too. Um, but at the same time, it's in Louisiana. If you buy it, you got to worry about getting it here, and just logistically, it can be difficult. Larry Jones, I'd like to have that Crown and Coke recipe. Since I removed the video, I should have it in my notes, and that actually brings up a good topic. Hopefully, you guys. I see we got over 40 people still in here. Thanks again for joining, by the way. Take notes with your cooks. Take note of things that you try, because the worst thing is when you forget what you did the last time, especially if something worked or didn't work and you want to try and figure out why. Uh, I have an iPhone. I would assume quite a bit of you probably have iPhones or smartphones. With the Notes app that it has, it's very easy for me to add things, and I keep track of things on my phone all the time. Recipes, if I make some modifications, if I change temperatures or cook times, I'm keeping track of that. And I have notes, individual notes. So like I have a steak note, I have a chicken note, I have, just different notes for different topics, and I keep track of those kind of things. So to answer your question, let me look and see. I probably have that. It's been 3 years ago since I did that, but I'm pretty sure I still have that recipe. Let's see. Andrew, he excited for the over the top chili ultimate Woodner food. Thanks for your feedback. Need to drop shortly. Well, thanks for joining, Andrew. If I don't see you when you leave, thanks again for joining. Good luck to everybody in the chat tonight. And also, for everybody who's in and out, have a great holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Enjoy the time with your family. It means a lot to be able to share great food and stories, and just these holiday experiences with the people that you care about. So definitely enjoy that. Double A4. First live stream I've caught you on. Love your channel, man. Well, thanks for joining. Glad you got to join live tonight. We're in here just chit-chatting about things. So if you have questions, be sure to chime in. John's still here. He's from South Louisiana. I believe Boathouse is near Baton Rouge, but I could be wrong. Have you ever seen their smokers in person? I'm curious. I have not. I know Jeremy Yoder has, and I've meant to ask him what his thoughts were on the Boathouse, but I forgot. I just like for sheer capacity, the Boathouse makes those offset cabinet smokers, and you could put a ton of food on them. And because they're not this big, long 500 or 1,000 gallon smoker, they're going to be tighter this way and taller that way. And they just have racks on racks on racks. They have like a warming rack chamber that's above the firebox that you can divert, or you can get this option. You can divert some heat and smoke into there as well. So that's like for a little bit lower and slower, running at a little different temperature, kind of like zoning your temperatures. But they look pretty sweet, and I see you've only seen the pictures. Um, that those are enticing to me as well. Check them out on Instagram if you guys are looking for like offsets. They make some pretty cool things. I see John is from Detroit. Detroit. That's actually one city that's very close that I haven't been to. Always wanted to. Yeah, John, they do make some huge smokers. We're talking about Boathouse smokers. MJ is asking, have you tried any of the flavored pellets or charcoal? I've tried the Kingsford garlic, onion, paprika, and really couldn't tell a difference on both pellet and charcoal kettle. MJ, I actually have tried the Kingsford flavors. I tried them in Utah back in March before they were released, and I do think that they make a slight difference. I can definitely smell it when you're cooking with the Kingsford briquettes, the ones with the flavors. I've had a good experience with them. I don't know how big of a difference they have. I've never done like a true low and slow cook with it, so that might change my opinion. I think I might have run it once on my drum, on my gateway drum, and that's hot and fast. But that's real smoky. It's a different thing altogether when you're cooking on one of those. So one of these days I'll have to run like the flavors in my master built and see on a low and slow cook how they really do. Um, let's see here. Let's see. Tried your hot and fast ribs on my Woodwind 20. Oh, so that's like I'm thinking here, that's like the Pursuit, and they burned really fast. Why? Well, let's see. My hot and fast video that I did on my pellet grill, I run at 300, typically 315, somewhere around that range. Um, the only thing that I could think of is, in that's such a small area, and the fire pot is right below the surface. It just might be exposed to more, like, direct heat than in a larger smoker. Uh, did you have them by any chance, or could you, put them on an upper shelf? I don't know if you did, um, the Big Hawk. If you could answer or let me know. You did it on the top shelf. I would run a probe in there and see how hot that's running. Maybe you're running way hotter than you think. Maybe it's set for 300 and running 375 for all we know. Because I've made those hot and fast ribs dozens of times, and I run them about the same every time. I've done it on Masterbuilt, done it on Char Griller, done it on my Camp Chef, and they've all had very similar results. I would look to see how true you're running. I see Allison and Danny, what part of Ohio are you from? So I'm born and raised in Northeast Ohio. I was more towards the Akron area, but I don't live in Akron. I live the outskirts of there, but Northeast Ohio. I saw Happy Holidays from Arizona. Thank you, Fred. I see Frank. Any recipes for smoking a ham? So I have a couple videos of double smoked spiral ham. So this is buying one of the smoked spiral hams at the store. I have a video, basically similar recipes. I've done it a couple different times, where we double smoke them, and I make my own glaze rather than using the packet that it comes with. I'm a big fan of that. I've made that probably a half a dozen times. Turned out great every time. I did not do a ham this year though. Um, I've just been busy. I with the prime ribs and the beef tenderloin, been focusing on kind of that stuff this year. I did not do a ham, but I do have. I actually think three double smoked ham videos. I would go for one of the more recent ones because some of them old ones are hard to watch. At least they are for me. Mark, just west of Detroit, I know cotton gin, but that $11,000 price tag for the 500 gallon is a little bit out of reach for me. It is. That's a tough thing, but also when you're getting into that size, most people aren't using that for personal use. So you're starting to use it for more commercial use. So part of the reason why I want a 500-gallon smoker is I want to start doing some more commercial-esque things, for the holidays, like to say, hey, I've got 20 turkeys going on the smoker, reserve them for, as soon as they're sold out or, accounted for, that's all we're doing. Doing the same thing on some of the weekends in the summer. I would do some private catering things as well. But I don't want to do a food truck. I don't want to invest and do that kind of stuff, just because it's just a lot more work. And, I like to do this kind of as a hobby and because I really do enjoy it, but I don't know if I want to make it my full-time gig. Plus I work full-time. I don't want to have a full-time job on the weekend too. Um, but the 500, when you go to that size, you're looking for more commercial stuff. If I were to get an offset right now, for a more at home use, everybody's going Lone Star. I would look at one of them. I know there's a couple other companies out there that make great smokers. You know, those sizes like the 40 by 24s, those, offsets, those are great for at home use, especially you got a little extra room to do larger quantities. But 500-gallon, 1,000-gallon, that's when you're going big time when you're doing those. There's really no other way. MJ, I saw somebody else say this here. Woodsy, lived in Sandusky for a while, love Cedar Point. Yeah, we're like about an hour and a half out from Cedar Point. We've had season passes before. We typically go there once or twice a summer. It's a lot of fun, big amusement park. If those of you who are not from the area, if you're not familiar with what Cedar Point is, let's see. Merry Christmas. Enjoy the channel. Thank you. Tacos and French fries. Two of my favorite food groups. Jeremy had a lot of praise for the workhorse pits. That is true. That's another one. Let's see. Girls Gone Picking. I'm trying out smoking steaks on my pellet grill tomorrow. Watch your videos, and I'm going to try the reverse sear with the mayonnaise. Looking forward to it. That is something that I actually haven't done in a while. I need to do that again. Mayonnaise makes for a great sear. It really truly does. And people are either for or against mayonnaise, but either way, they think it's incredibly weird to use it for a sear. But try it also on grilled cheese. Instead of like trying to butter your bread, use mayonnaise. And especially if you're making like a grilled cheese in a pan, try mayonnaise next time. It makes a big difference. Let's see, double A4. Any plans on some upcoming cooks? Yeah, so we've talked about a couple different upcoming things. I'm going to do a comparison on the Masterbuilt Gravity Series 800 and the Camp Chef Woodwind Pro 36. We're going to do beef ribs. I got some certified Piedmontese beef ribs, 2 identical cuts, same size, same weight, basically the same weight. And we're going to do them identically and see what the difference is and see if we can really tell the difference between the two. We're going to do over the top chili. We're going to do some indoor cooks. I've been toying around with an idea. I don't want to mention it yet because it's a little controversial. So I'm going to wait and think this one through a little bit. But going to be doing some cooks here. I saw Nick Giovanni on TikTok or Instagram Reels in the last couple days. He scored a steak into like a diamond pattern, kind of like if you scored your pork shoulder before you season it. But he did it pretty small, like they were small little diamonds or squares. And he did that and seared it, and it made an incredible sear. I thought about trying that as well. But that I don't know if that would make a video. It depends, I guess, how well it turned out. Um, Now I do a little bit more planning and a little bit more testing before I throw ideas right onto the YouTube. Larry Jones, Outlaw Offset. That's another company. There's so many offset guys out there now that make great pits. Honestly, do your research, check out Instagram. There's a ton of good feedback, and look around the barbecue community, especially on YouTube. You'll see what other people have, and if they're like me or a lot of the guys that I talk to, they're very open about their, and honest about their opinions, and they'll tell you what their experiences has been. Um, let's see. Have you ever competed or planned to? So honestly, I have not competed. I thought about it. Pre-COVID, that was a goal of mine, and then COVID kind of stopped some of those types of events, and I kind of changed my plans. Um, I would, if the right competition comes around locally. I'm not going to do any big traveling unless it was the right opportunity. Um, Competition barbecue's tough. I know I don't know if Kent is still in here from Daddy Dutch Barbecue, but he's a comp guy. He can tell you it's tough. It's a lot of work. It's a busy weekend. And I think that's really something that you get into and you have to work your way into it. It's not something that you just show up once and do. I mean, maybe if you just want to say you've done it, but I think I think overall it's something you have to dedicate a lot of time to. So for me, I just don't have it's very difficult for me to say like, okay, I'm going to give up, several weekends a month to go compete and kind of build up my arsenal in that kind of competition world and to get my feet wet. I just don't really have the time to, but I would. The right opportunity came around, I would. Allison and Danny, do you ever shop at the West Side Market? Born and raised in Cleveland Heights, but escaped out west many years ago. Yeah, I have shopped at the West Side Market quite a few times. My wife and I will go up there. We're like 30, 40 minutes outside of Cleveland. So we'll go up there on the weekends. That's when you'll see a lot of the vendors and stuff in there. But yeah, we've definitely been up there. It's a cool place. Cool place to get produce and stuff too. Aioli instead of mayo on grilled cheese. I would say that that's probably true. I haven't tried it, but I know that mayo worked good, so I would see aioli would work well as well. Let me take a look at the time here. We are 9:18. We'll go till about 9:30, 9:35. We'll see how the conversation's going. But it is a work night, and I got a couple things I need to do this evening. So don't want to cut everybody off short. One of the main reasons why we are here is for the giveaway, also to have a conversation. I like talking to everybody, and I feel like it's been fun. But this giveaway that I'm running is a pretty cool opportunity for someone. It is an all-encompassing package. It is a Camp Chef Woodwind Pro 36, 2 thermometers from ThermoWorks, 2 Tomahawk, grass-fed, grass-finished Tomahawk ribeyes from certified Piedmontese, 3 different rubs from Bearded Butchers, and an Anderson Smoke Show hat. So one winner will win all of that, free to enter, shipped to your door. there's a link at the top of the live stream chat, and it's also in the description. You click on that, it tells you how to do it. Enter. Good luck. It ends tomorrow night. That is Friday, December 6th. I'm looking at the date here so I don't get it wrong. Friday, December 16th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will wake up Saturday when the dust settles, and I will pick the winner. And from there, we'll be in touch. And if you win, you've got 5 days to respond from the time I reach out. Please check your spam folders after the drawing. Also, make sure that when you enter, you put in the right email address, because if you don't, how am I ever going to reach out to you? So definitely do that. Let's see here. What is your preferred wood for chicken? Frank is asking. To be honest with you, I'm a big hickory fan in general. So I run a lot more hickory than probably most people. I don't change up very often. But I do, if I get my hands on some pecan wood, I'll definitely run some pecan with some chicken. I've also run some of the fruit woods with chicken. Turns out great. You know, your apple, your cherry. The plum pellets from Naughty Wood and the almond pellets from Naughty Wood. And I actually saw they just came out with a wine barrel. I think it's a Cabernet. I haven't tried that one. It just came out. But both of the almond and the plum work really well with chicken as well, in my opinion. Let's see. It looks like Isaac has to run. He's entered. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to you as well, Isaac, and good luck to you and to everybody who's in here tonight for the live stream. Let's see. I see that John, he's saying that he's seen enough barbecue comps to know I don't want to do it, but I do enjoy competing in local crawfish boil comps as well as jambalaya and gumbo comps. Those would be cool. That's definitely a regional thing. I have never seen a gumbo or jambalaya comp in Northeast Ohio, but if there was one, I would definitely go. And I actually do want to do some of that Cajun style cooking. That is something that I plan on doing this year. I want to do like a big cook for like family and friends. And I think one of those would be pretty cool, doing something along that lines. Let's see. See, MJ, let's see here. Brian, Merry Christmas from Wilmington, North Carolina. Well, thanks for joining, Brian. Merry Christmas to you as well. MJ is saying COVID got me into smoking for the first time, and your channel was one of my first, and the way you explained everything got me hooked. Now I have 8 different grills and smokers, and all my neighbors love it. Well, MJ, I'm hoping that you didn't make anybody mad, because I know that when another grill shows up at our house, my wife usually gets a little, but like I said, we don't have a lot of room for it. So when one comes in, one's usually got to go. Let's see here. Keep your cocktails full and cold. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of talking. My ice melted. Scott, I might have to take you up on that advice. I have not done a gumbo, but now I know. I will have to talk to you about that. Andrew, my next goal is to do a prime rib. Well, Andrew, I have a great video that I just put out. It goes through from start to finish. I seared mine at the end with a torch, but I talk about some of the other options as well. I also have a couple other prime rib videos from previous years that will definitely be helpful as well. So I suggest taking a look. I see that Allison and Danny sounds like they are heading out. Have a great night. Enjoy your content. Well, thanks for joining, and maybe one day you'll make it back to the great state of Ohio. I see Q the most I sub because I followed some recipes. Well, I'm glad you subbed, and I hope you enjoyed the recipes. Let's see, ribs turned out great. The butter knife really helps with the membrane. Yeah, it does. Membrane's a controversial thing. I remove them all the time, but I know in Texas barbecue they score them. Something that I haven't really done a lot of, but I'm gonna mess around with some of that stuff this summer. Oh, let's see, crime time. I did see your message earlier. I read it while I was talking about something else. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you as well. And what would be the best temperature for shredded brisket? I'm new to the Gravity 980. When you say temperature, are you talking about cooking it? Like what temperature would you cook it at, or what temperature do you cook it to? Um, Let me know what you're asking specifically. Let me see here. Let's see. Brian is asking, why do you need 6 grills? I tell her for 6 different cooks. Every grill has a purpose. I totally agree. Yeah, they need to eat. Sorry, had a question from here in the house. Let's see. So, the Jacket Pride. Love the content. As a Kansas City transplant who lives in LA right now, the only way to get good barbecue is to make it myself. Appreciate all the help. Yeah, I would say that barbecue is definitely a regional thing, and it's very different across the country. I've been fortunate enough to try it in different places, Carolinas, Texas. Um, yeah, I can say that even where I'm at in Northeast Ohio, there is not many barbecue joints, like authentic places. Yeah, you have your Old Carolina barbecue. You have places like that. There's also Mission Barbecue, and there are some, little mom and pops places that set up shop like in parking lots and whatever, like food trucks. And we'll get some of that from time to time. But for like a legit barbecue place, we don't have that around here. So I know the pain. Let's see. So, Face of Truth upgraded from the Weber Kettle to the Acorn Auto with that Walmart sale. Currently smoking some bacon wrapped pheasant for work tomorrow. Your content is great for tips, advice, also ideas for dinner. Well, let's see. Yeah, no, that Acorn Auto was something. What do they call it? Is it the Acorn or is it the Auto Kamado? I can't remember what they call that. It's a Char Griller, I'm assuming, is what you're talking about. It uses the same technology as the Gravity Fed, so I would assume in terms of the controller. So I would assume that it's probably a pretty cool grill. Ron, are you going to try that rub that we talked about? Um, I don't remember what rub specifically. Let me know in the comments, Ron, which one we were talking about. I know we were just talking yesterday about the crusted prime rib. I don't know if that's what you're referring to. Temperature would you cook it at? So let's see. Crime time. Yeah, what temperature would you cook it at? So I typically do briskets, low and slow. So probably 250 is what I would cook it at. I like to get as much smoke as possible on it. You can even go 225, but I'd say 250 is perfectly fine. Alex Boyce, hello from Michigan. Well, hello from Ohio, Alex. Just across the little body of water there. Darren, let's see. Wolf Tracks Barbecue. I can attest to the fantastic recipes between yours and Darren's Ash Kickin' Barbecue, which is another great barbecue channel. My family has been well fed and thrilled with the results. Yeah, well, I'm glad that you guys have enjoyed it. And Darren from Ash Kickin' Barbecue, if you're not familiar with him, he's got a great channel. He's actually a comp cook, so he's got a lot of great knowledge in general about barbecue. So he's definitely a good resource for that. He actually also just got a Lone Star offset. I saw that on Facebook and in a private group chat that I'm in with him and a few other barbecue guys. Let's see. What's your favorite way to smoke ribs? I started with the 3-2-1s, but I have evolved. I'm doing better with higher temps and shorter time. Smoke at 275 for 2 hours, wrap for 2 hours, and it's great. So, truthfully, when it comes to cooking anything, it's about adapting to, what suits you best, whether that's time, whether that's your taste profile or how you like your food. I will say that I probably cook the majority of my ribs at higher temperatures. I would say that's probably the most common for me. I found that making them faster doesn't sacrifice too much flavor. I will say that a good low and slow ribs with the right cooker, with the right smoke, they're phenomenal, but it's also nice to shave 3 hours off of cook time, especially like on a Saturday or cooking for a crowd. Let's see. Crime Tame, thank you for your time and energy. You're an awesome person. God bless. Well, thank you. Thanks for joining tonight. Glad that my advice has been helpful. I see since we have been on here, we've gotten a bunch of Instagram notifications. Hopefully, that's everyone in the chat entering for the drawing for the giveaway. Following me on Instagram is one of the ways that you can gain an additional entry to the giveaway. So hopefully everyone here has done that. I will also say that a lot of those follows were probably from an Instagram reel that I have blowing up. I just had a short video of my beef tenderloin that I posted last week. If you haven't seen that, it's a great video. And that certified Piedmontese beef is incredible. And they're running a sale right now through the end of the year, 25% off of everything site-wide. And there are some really good deals on some high-quality beef. I suggest checking them out. I'm telling you, I'm not an affiliate with Certified Piedmontese. I don't make money by telling you that. I'm telling you that I actually really enjoy their beef quite a bit. But I had an Instagram reel that was at like 1,200 views probably around the time I got off work, so about 5 o'clock. And then my phone just started going bananas. I'm at 53,300 views right now. I was at like 70 likes, and let me turn my volume down in case it plays. I'm at 2,085 likes now on this video. It's just a sear job on beef tenderloin on the Camp Chef Sidekick. But my phone has been going nuts for hours now, which is cool. I like to see those kind of numbers. So we are getting close to the end here. It is 9:31 now. We're going to cut it off here in just a couple minutes. I do want to remind everybody to enter. Have a safe and happy holidays. Whoever wins will win everything. The one thing that I will say is that I am not bundling everything on a pallet and sending it to you. All of the companies that I'm working with will be shipping those items separately. So the winner will likely receive them at a little different pace. But my hope is that by picking the winner Saturday, I'm able to get shipping information to the companies by Monday. Hopefully, whoever wins answers me quickly and gets that information. There's a possibility, cannot guarantee it, but there's a possibility that some of those items might start to show up before Christmas. And what a heck of a Christmas present that's going to be for someone is to get this prize package. So be sure to enter, have a safe holiday, enjoy the time with your family. If there's one thing that I've learned this year is to cherish those moments because you don't know when you won't have them anymore. So be sure to do that and have a good time. Eat some good food, check out some of the recipes that I have out here and some of the recipes that some of my friends have with their YouTube channels. And yeah, I hope everyone enjoys. Scott, I will just give you my address now. Well, Scott, if you win, I will trade you this giveaway for some gumbo or some Cajun recipes. I'm not going to leave it at just gumbo. I want a little bit more than that. But I think that's a fair trade. If you win, I'll ship it to you and you give me some of them recipes. But yeah, the time has run out. If you guys have any additional questions, hit me up in the comments section. I know I've said it before. If you see people in the chat that have icons and green names, that means they're channel members. They are going to get priority comments, so they're going to see responses a lot faster. And it's not that I don't want to answer everyone. It's just the fact that sometimes I get too many to answer, and they kind of get lost in the sauce. My dog just showed up. I don't think anyone can see her. Maybe you can. But if you need to reach out on Instagram, reach out on Facebook, reach out in the comments. I'll do my best to get back to everyone. But have a safe and happy holidays. Hope everyone has great food. We'll see you guys later.